Hello, my name is Bako Pampun and I am your educator. Today we are going to be learning the kinds of words, or should I say the types of words. It is very much important. This is the train that we are going to be on together in the English course. Now, before we can talk about the kinds of words, I want us first of all to understand what is a word in particular, because we are talking about something that we are supposed to know the depth of. We're supposed to understand first before we can understand how it can be used differently to mean something different. Right, let's go. What are words? Words are single, distinct, meaningful element of speech or writing used with others or sometimes alone to form a sentence and typically shown with a space on either side when written or printed. So what do we mean when we talk about this? We mean that a word is just a single meaningful element of speech or writing. You can say it and you can even write it down and print it on paper. And how do we form a word? We have different parts of how we form a word, but in simple terms or in a nutshell, we form a word by combining letters, and it becomes a meaningful element of speech or writing. And on either side, it has spaces. It has a space. So that is what a word is. Now, let's dive deeper. We have different kinds of words that we normally use in our everyday lives. However, we sometimes don't know about it. But now today we are going to know, because we are going to dive deeper into understanding the kinds of words that we normally use. Compound words. This is one type of word that we normally use in the everyday lives. Compound words are words that are formed from the combination of two different words. We take word number A, we take word number B, we put them together, and we form word number C. So we combine. We just take 1, 2, we put them together, and they give us 12. These words are formed to make a completely new and different meaning. However, my example is not to mathematical scale, meaning it is not used to be a fine example of mathematics. It is just to show that number 1, number 2, you put them together, they give you something. These words are formed to make a completely new and different meaning. We create a meaningful something, a completely new meaning, when we take these words and we put them together to form one word, even though it may be long. They can be constructed by word, adding a word or a verb plus a word, which will take us to a compound word. Remember, these other words are sometimes serving as the figures of speech or anyhow. When you take a word, you add another word to it. When you take a name, you add another name to it. It gives you a compound word. When you take a verb plus another name to it, it also gives you a compound word, because you have taken 1 and you have taken 2, you have added and combined them together. For example, let's take a look at that. We have an ice, which is frozen water. And we have cream, which is what we normally refer to, a substance that looks like milk. We normally refer to it as cream. Now, when we take the word cream and the word ice and we combine them together, they give us an ice cream. They give us that enjoyable substance that is frozen, but is quite enjoyable when frozen. That is why. Now that is a compound word, because we compounded two words together. We just put them next to each other and they gave us a completely new meaning. Now, we have another type of words, kinds of compound words, sorry. We have open compounds, we have hyphenated compounds, and we have closed compounds. There are different kinds of compounds. We do not only focus on closed compounds. So, Let us continue. Open compounds. What do we know about open compounds? What do we refer to when we talk about open compounds? They are written with spaces in between the words. We don't just write them together, but you make a space in between. You take number one, you take number two, you put them together, but you leave a space within between them. For example, we talk about high school. When we talk about high, we talk about something that is above, up there. When we talk about a school, we are talking about an institution of learning. Now, when we take these two words and we put them together, they become an institution of learning, but on a higher standard or on a higher level. But these two words, we leave a space in between them to show them that the high word explains the kind of an institution that we are going to. Now, when we talk about a house party, we are talking about a house, which is a place, a structure in which people live. A party is where people go and enjoy themselves, dance and eat and cook and so forth and celebrate different occasions. But a house is a structure of living. A party is what people do to celebrate. When we put these things together, we still leave a space in between them because now the house explains the type of party that we are going to. But when we put them together, it still becomes one thing. The house explains the type of party. However, it is one word because we are going to what? One party. We are not going to a house there and then we go to a party there. We are going to one house where there is a party. Now we know the kind of party we are going to. It's a house party. It is not an outdoor party. It is not a beach party. It's a house party. So at the end of the day, it gives us one new meaning, which is a kind of a party that we are going to. But it's still one word because it gives us a compound word. Now let's continue. Hyphenated compounds. Hyphenated compounds, they are written with hyphens between the words. You put something like a dash in between the words. For example, mother-in-law. When we talk about a mother, we're talking about a female figure that has given birth to you, or that has raised you up, or that has been a mother figure to you. Now, when we talk about in-law, we are talking about someone you have a relation with. However, it's not a relation of blood. It's a relation of the law. Now, that person becomes your mother-in-law, becomes a mother figure to you, but you relate to that person by law. So it is also a hyphenated compound because it explains the kind of mother that you have. At the end of the day, it is one word with dashes in between. But it is still one word which is giving us the kind of mother you have, which is a mother-in-law. And it is still meaning one thing, a woman that we can look at and say this is so-and-so's mother-in-law. Mind blowing. The mind is what we have up here. But blowing, boom. We don't know what's going on. What we know is that if I think about this, it's something that is beyond human thinking. I didn't know this guy can think up to this point or up to this level. At the end of the day, I look at him, his ideas are so mind-blowing. To blow it's to explode. A mind is what we have here. His ideas, now we are getting a sense of what kind of ideas he brings to the table. They are ideas that make someone's mind explode because we least expect them and they are so powerful. Something that explodes is something that is so powerful. At the end of the day, it shows us how powerful this man's ideas are. So that is a hyphenated compound. Now, closed compounds. It is very close to the example that I gave in the beginning. Closed compounds, they are mostly used and frequent kind of compound words. They are the most frequent ones because even when I started to explain, I started to talk about the closed compounds, which are the most popular ones. They are written with no spaces and punctuation. Remember, a hyphen is a punctuation. A dash is a punctuation mark. And there are also spaces in between when we talk about other open compounds. Now, we don't talk about open compounds. We don't talk about hyphenated compounds. We're talking about closed compounds. Example, a cheese is that dairy product that we get from milk. A cake, it's a kind of a soft bread that we get after dough has been baked. Now, when we take these two words and put them together and create one word that has no meaning, that has no thing, that has no space in between, we come up with a cheesecake. It is a cake that comes from the oven, but it has cheese. The flavor that dominates this cake is cheese. Now, it tells us the kind of cake we have. At the end of the day, it gives us one product, one meaning, cheesecake. So you get it. Now, that is so amazing. Let us meet on the next lesson where we are going to continue talking about compound words. Find the quiz, find the worksheet, and do it. Let's learn English. Bye.